All right, today, guys, we're going to be talking about having trading goals and realistic expectations, and at the end of the day, not becoming, a bag-holding loser, okay? So what I want to talk about is Peloton. I actually have a kind of interesting story, and I think it is and listen, it's going to sound like I'm kind of picking on this guy, but I'm not. Listen, I know that the bummer is you're not taught how to trade in school, okay? You're not taught in elementary or high school or college. You're not taught this anywhere. One of the biggest reasons we see such a high failure rate in trading is it's just open to anybody. Like, listen, if you have a laptop, like a $500 laptop, and you got a couple $100 to throw in a trading account, you can start trading today. Like, I don't know of any other profession where they will do that. Like, if you show up to a building and you're like, hey, I want to wire the lights in this place, they're going to be like, where's your electrical license? Who are you interning under? I mean, they're going to ask questions. They're going to be like, no, we're not going to let you do this. Medicine, pilots, even construction. I mean, listen, if you show up to someone's house, they're like, I want to put a roof on your house. They're going to be like, okay, show me your references, show me your portfolio. But with trading, just anybody can do it. And because of that lack of education, and that's what we do at StocksToTrade. That's one of the things I am most proud of in my career, in my business career, in my professional career is helping people just like you figure this stuff out. Now, I know that's kind of a long, drawn-out apology to this guy, but the reason I bring it up is I don't want you to do the same thing. I want you to know when to take profits. I want you to know how to have a trade plan, and I want you to ultimately make a bunch of money in the stock market. I mean, that's my goal. Now, you have to be disciplined, you have to follow the rules, you have to get the education. I mean, all things that we do here at Stocks2Trade, but that's what I want. My goal is, I've said this many times, maybe you've seen it on other videos, I literally want all 8 billion people on the planet to succeed at trading. I think it's my niche, okay? It's what I do. I've been interested in finance since elementary school, okay? I've been trading for 18 years now. I've been mentoring for 8 years now. It's what I do. So to me, the best way to give back to the universe is hopefully teach 8 billion people on the planet how to trade, how to be successful, because the more people that are successful, the more people that are happy means a better, more successful world, okay? But the fact is, no one's taught this, and because of that, you make some of the worst decisions, and it really bums me out, and I don't want to see people have this happen. So we're going to go back to a story. I think it's a great way to kind of impart this. So I remember January 2020, and if you can see this, and we'll link the articles below actually, did a blog post talking about how much I loved Peloton. I just had bought a Peloton at that point. Amazing product, by the way. Absolutely love this product. And now the company's run by idiots, okay? Absolute morons, okay? You think the people running some of these companies these days are dumb? Peloton may have the dumbest management of any publicly traded company, okay? There's a lot of moronically run companies out there. Peloton might be the worst, but I'll save that for part 2. Part 1 is, amazing product. We were going into COVID. Okay, this is January 2020 when I talked about, man, love the stock, love the product, it's a buy, okay? So let's jump over to the chart. That was right here, and the stock was trading in the basically mid-20s at that point, okay? And back then, if you remember, that was the very first time I started pre-market prep. If you go back on the YouTube channel, you'll see tons of pre-market prep. I started it when the lockdowns happened, okay? When the lockdowns happened in the spring, I was like, hey, can't leave the house. I'm gonna start doing free stock market education. Crazy thing is, I still do pre-market prep every day. Here we are, 4.5 years later, but check it out below. We'll have a link to that. But anyway, Peloton in the mid-20s. I was very bullish the stock. I loved it. So there's this guy who will go unnamed. He buys the stock, okay? And the crazy thing is, all through 2020, I would randomly get DMs from him. I mean, I didn't know him. He was just a guy that was on the webinars. And he would send me all these, thank yous. And man, you're so awesome. And I really appreciate it. on this Peloton. I'm like, hey man, awesome, and then kind of didn't hear much from him. And if, here, this is kind of where I was hearing from him. Stock goes all the way up to 170, okay, into 2021. So basically in a year, he's up over 600% on this stock. Basically year to year. You can see that's January 15th, 2021 was the high, okay? Basically a year to the day. I mean, maybe a couple days off. 600% on this stock. Okay, and again, I lose track of the guy. He was just sending me DMs on Instagram. So you proceed to, end into 2020. COVID ends. Peloton's management is, idiots. Stock falls back. They had some scandals. They kicked the CEO out. That's when that big gap down happened here back in 2021. And then you fast forward to, I want to say, somewhere in 2022. This guy starts messaging me again, calling me an idiot, calling me a scammer, calling me very, very bad words that his mother probably wouldn't appreciate him saying. And I'm just like, who is this guy? Why is he yelling at me about Peloton? So I scroll up in the DMs, and 2 years before, he's raving and raving about Peloton. And I'm just like, bro. Like, you didn't think about selling it 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 or 80 or 100 or 120 or 150. And here's the crazy thing about this. Understand, guys, he was in the 20s. So he could have sold all the way through this run-up, or, hey, maybe he was a long-term believer. Think about on the downside. He had almost 2 years, a year and a half, to sell at 160, 150, 120, 100, 70, 80, all the way down. Again, he could have waited 2 years and still sold for almost a 50% gain. And I'm the jerk, and I'm the one that doesn't know what he's talking about. And I'm like, this is so important. Now, this comes up because I actually just did another blog post last week talking about Peloton being a merger target. I think because of their terrible management and the beat down stock price, I think this is a great buy for Apple. And the crazy thing is, I sent this blog post that night, the night I published it. Gene Munster goes on, hedge fund guy, goes on CNBC and talks about exactly what I said, okay? But anyway, that Apple would look to buy Peloton out. The reason I bring this up is it reminded me of this Peloton story, and it reminded me, my friends, that one of the most important things you need to do, and this is the crux of this video, and if you pay attention to this point, it could literally change your trading forever. You need to have a plan, okay? What are you going to do if you buy Peloton at 25 and it drops to 20? Are you just going to hold no matter what? Vice versa. What if you buy it at 25 and it goes to 50? Are you going to are you going to hold for more, which is fine, but do you have that plan? And let's say you think, man, I think Peloton's going to 1,000. What happens when it goes to 171? You thought it could go higher, and then it pulls back to 150, and it pulls back to 140, and it literally trends down for months. Are you going to be a bag holder, a fool, a Pollyanna, and say, oh, it's still going to 1,000? Are you going to recognize the fact that, well, my price target was a little too high. I had too lofty of goals. It's still at 120. I'm still up 500% at this point. I'm going to take profits, and I'm going to move on. So the reason this came up is I was talking about, I just published these articles on Peloton about the acquisition. And actually, the video guy running the camera right now talked about a very similar story. He's got a buddy that held the stock, Genius Studios. They actually changed the ticker to Tune. He was up, again, hundreds and hundreds of percent, and now he's down like 90%. 90% on his trade. Like, think about that. He could have taken profits up 20, up 30, up 40, up 50, up 100, and then same type stock chart. He had months and months and months to just take it off the table for profits, mind you. He held down 90%. It's a crappy Scamex, penny stock pump and dump, basically. But my friends, that is what is so important about this video. And if you trade without a plan, that's going to be you. You're going to be this guy on Instagram yelling at me when he was up 600%. It had 2 opportunities to sell. You're going to be the guy holding a crappy penny stock pump and dump down 90%. And then that's why so many fail at this. And I know it sounds simple, but if you ever get to the point where you're in a stock and you don't know what you're going to do, whether that be for profits or losses or even sideways, you screwed up. You blew it. You already failed if you don't have your trade plan written out. That being said, if you want to learn how to write trade plans, if you want to learn how to interpret charts, the number one way to do it is to join me in the Daily Income Trader System. It's called the Daily Income Trader System because 4 live webinars a day, every single trading day, from pre-market all the way through the end of the day. Check it out. When you click that link, you're going to go to an invitation. It's going to give you a link to a free webinar. A free live webinar, okay, not pre-recorded, free live webinar showing you exactly what we do in the Daily Income Trader System. There's 0 downside to checking it out. Click that link below, and we'll see you on that webinar.